Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Guys on Sports. And after a short but necessary hiatus, we are back. We're better than ever. Now, after an interesting divisional round,
a tasty divisional round,
we're going to press forward.
An exciting divisional round.
Depends on who you are.
But first, we're going to start with a little preview of what's in store. We're going to look at that divisional round, the quarterbacks, each select who we'd like to move forward with the most. Then we'll do our way too early QB picks for the top fantasy spot next season. But we'll start with the disgustingly smug Zach Marin as he highlights our favorite social comments and mentions from the past few weeks. Zach, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so if you follow us on our socials at G1 Podcast, or if you're in our chalkboard forums at Guys on Sports, we will probably shout you out for something funny, for something interesting, or something wrong. Thank you.
Try to be funny, though. All the other shit's boring.
Yeah. I agree with that. Don't be combative.
Since we had a little bit of a hiatus and since fantasy seasons are over and we're in the playoffs now, I'm gonna go with congratulations if you won your leagues. Thank you, Zach, for I'm gonna go with something that
insufferable.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I'll take the light off me and I'll put it on Marcus.
Wow.
Jamarcus said something very accurate at the beginning of the fantasy season.
That's surprising.
He said a lot of things really
very
accurate.
surprising.
And on TikTok, we asked him what his league winner is for the season.
Who's your league winner?
Got a bunch of them.
Well, I'll answer that for you. Mr. Josh Jacobs for the Raiders did very well.
Ba-boom.
I won a lot of money with that pick.
In September 5th, actually, is this comment from XB Shakamana. I think I said that right. Mm-hmm. At first, when this came out, it said Josh Jacobs is stuck in a committee with a great running back in Zahir White. Is that his name?
Great.
Zahir White.
And then we said McDaniel's offense is going to revitalize Jacobs, according to Mark. And then 4 days ago, when this was screenshotted, it said you couldn't have been more right. So
wow.
Boom.
So
what a guy.
They swallowed their take, and kudos to Mark for...
Swallow that.
That was nice for him to come back and follow up, man. Yeah. What was his name?
I'm not going to say
it. Is it Jamarcus?
No, that's your name.
Oh, okay.
No, it's XB Shakamana. I think I said that right.
Yeah, I'm not going to remember that, but thank you.
Yeah.
And you should check us out on our lives, man. We'll shout you out. We'll answer some of your questions. I got a bunch of those, man. I just walk around dropping fucking diamonds all day long. So please follow us.
If you don't join our lives, just definitely join our chalkboard. The link's in the bio, and we answer fantasy questions all year long. We give advice all year long. And this comment is from JQuinn624. Said, at UFL Zach, just want to say I appreciate you and your help throughout the fantasy season.
Yeah, we got that. Yeah.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Very welcome, JQuinn. We helped a lot of people. And
I got to be honest, that last comment, that's a real fucking snooze fest, man.
Yeah.
Hey, well, somebody thanked us.
Yeah, no, it's good to get some props.
Yeah.
You couldn't have been more middle of the road all year long, though. So way to go. Capturing that audience. Yeah.
Middle of the road.
Talk about middle of the road.
I got the hardware to bring home.
Middle of the road.
And the profit,
with
too.
your comments.
So what are we talking about first? We're talking about fantasy QBs, right? Fantasy QBs?
Yeah, is that what we're talking about?
We're talking about fantasy QBs. I think we're predicting who our number one fantasy QB is.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to push back just a little bit before we start. I wanted to pick who's the QB that we going to, kind of break out next year, which I thought would be more interesting, but we could probably do that on a future episode. But for now, I think we'll go with... We got a lot of weeks. We'll go with a way too early number one overall QB pick. Who do we think it's going to be? We'll go with you. You go, Zach. Who's your number one guy?
Okay, well, it's a little bit of a homer pick. I am an Eagles fan, and I'm thinking Jalen Hurts is
Wait, you're an Eagles fan? Jeez, we didn't know that.
Go Birds, baby. Jalen Hurts, I think, can finish as the number one fantasy quarterback for a few different reasons. I mean, one, he finished as a top 3 and missed 2 games. He had 13 rushing touchdowns and missed 2 games. I mean, a few other stats. He was the first quarterback with 10-plus rushing touchdowns and a QBR over 100. But his offense is staying together. So for him to have the floor that he had this year and for everyone to be back and potentially the only player that we might not re-sign is Miles Sanders, which might add to Jalen Hurts' ground game, I think adds even more value to him. He, if not the number one quarterback in fantasy, should be the number one quarterback off the board because of floor. So,
okay.
That's my TED Talk.
Well, let me see what you got, Mark. Who you got?
I'm going to go with a surprise pick here. And This one is definitely controversial. This one's also very volatile because we don't know what's going to happen with him during the offseason. But regardless of the situation that he finds himself in, I do like Lamar next year. I think that
Lamar Jackson.
I think that if Baltimore does in fact franchise him, he's obviously in a prove it year, right? So he is just going to be he's going to be very difficult to stop. And they have some weapons there that, you know, hopefully he can utilize for a full season. He didn't get to this year, but his legs obviously are the key, right? And I think he's gonna really try to prove next year that he's going to sign as one of the 3 highest paid quarterbacks in the league. If Baltimore decides to spend their money elsewhere and does not franchise him, I like his prospects, man. I think there's a couple of places he could end up, and I really think that he would thrive. I would love to see him in Tampa Bay because I don't think Brady's coming back to Tampa. I think Brady might end up trying to play his final year potentially in Vegas because I think Vegas is going to move on from Carr and possibly also Devontae Adams. So I think that leaves a very, very skilled offensive weaponry team in Tampa Bay unmanned, and I think Lamar could be absolutely ridiculous in that situation.
I don't necessarily disagree with that.
It's a good sign that he didn't come back from injury, that he's making sure that his knees are accurate and ready to go for the upcoming season.
Want those accurate knees, yeah.
And another team that I think that he'd really thrive with, that I would love to see him, where I'd like to see him land, would be the Jets. So I like all 3 of his scenarios that I've worked out in my mind. Coming back to Baltimore, the Jets, or Tampa.
I think the Jets are a realistic landing spot for him, but I'm surprised that you didn't go with this guy. And he's your guy, Justin Fields. All right, we're talking about, for me, is a guy that probably the best runner at that position that I've ever seen, including Lamar, including Vic. Now, Lamar's special with his ability to make people miss, but I think
accurate knees.
Fields brings something different there.
He brings vision.
Vision, but he does run like a running back, a true running back with power, with size. 1,200 yards rushing last year. I think he threw for 18 touchdowns. I might be off 1 or 2, but I believe it's 18 touchdowns. I think they're going to get him more weapons in the offseason. I think Claypool's got to get really integrated into that offense. But if the guy could uptick his passing touchdowns a bit and build off that success on the ground, to me, he's the Jalen Hurts of this season.
Yeah.
And that being said, I don't know, I'm not going to go against Hurts right now, but I think any running quarterback, as they start to get older and more valuable, I think you just tend to see a downtick in the rushing attempts. But Fields is, he's got something to prove next year.
Yeah, and they have the money to do it too. So they need to go out and they need to get him an offensive line. They need to bring in another weapon. Hopefully Mooney comes back from injury, and then they have to figure out what they're doing with Monty. But I love Fields. And to your point, I think Fields, the reason why he's probably the most gifted runner at quarterback is because of the vision. You don't see him having to spin out of tackles like you do Lamar. You don't see him taking contact at the line like you do Josh Allen. A lot of times, man, he's just hitting holes and he's not being touched, which is going to prove to be, it's gonna elongate his career.
I mean, I think it's fair to say of the 4 of us, I watched more Justin Fields when he was in college, and it's a great pick because the thing that Fields has that Hurts and Lamar doesn't is
a wiener.
I don't know about that.
A wiener or a winner because he hasn't won really much in the NFL yet.
Hurts and Lamar, when you talk about Hurts and Lamar, you talk about, oh my gosh, they're great runners, and then you say they drastically improved in certain categories, whether it be their accuracy or their field vision. The knock on Fields has been, he's great if he's playing his own defense, but if you jam the receivers, he's not great when, he has trouble fitting it in. And same thing with, there we go. And then Lamar, you always talk about his accuracy. Fields, he not only is he 6'3", 227 pounds, so he's got the size to run, but their accuracy is not the issue. The issue in Chicago is he hasn't had a line and he hasn't had a second real threat. And I think they're going to fix that because they've got the money. They've got more money than any other team.
And the first pick.
Yeah, and the first pick. And honestly, they're probably going to flip that and maybe get several first picks.
They should.
So I think it's a great pick, and I think Fields he has a setup to prove that he could take a step forward. I think he won't run as much, hopefully, for his own health, but I think he's going to throw more.
So you also going Justin Fields, or who are you picking?
No, I am going, and this is a dark horse, and I admit it, and I'm going a lot based off historical data, and that's Deshaun Watson. Now, he's nobody's favorite guy, probably. People don't like him. And he looked, honestly, like crap last year, even kind of finding his way. He had a couple good, I wouldn't even say good games. He had a couple good halves of games down the stretch. But he's not far removed from 3 seasons where he set the world on fire. In fact, 2020, 70% completion, 40, almost 5,000 yards, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and then he ran for almost 600 yards on the ground. The Browns, they have some money to spend when they restructure some contracts, I think including his contract. They're going to find a second receiver to Amari Cooper.
They have to.
Yeah, they're going to have to. I love DPJ as a third receiver, and I like Njoku as he's kind of becoming a pretty solid tight end.
You're going to have to pay him soon, though.
They did. He signed.
Oh, yeah.
Njoku signed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they got lucky with Njoku because his
they're-
first 4 seasons were complete shit.
Yeah, they're kind of set as far as with Amari and with Njoku. I think they're going to have to restructure Deshaun some, but I think he's going to be willing to because he knows they need another receiver. They're short on picks as far as a first, but they do have a lot of picks. And I think they're going to, the signing of Jim Schwartz, I like that. I think he's a great defensive coordinator.
That hurts me.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was good with
Yeah.
Philadelphia.
No, he was amazing. I wish he stayed retired because he just.
I know. I think he's solid. And so I think Deshaun is going to become that fringe top 5, definitely top 10 QB again. And I think he is going to run more because the league runs more. And I think the Browns are going to take one of these offensive coordinators that are going to get fired that are running coordinators and maybe bring him in as a special consultant to kind of figure out a way to kind of merge the modern running quarterback game. So I think he's going to have a rebound year. I think he's going to be pretty good.
I hope so because
God, they
for them
played
to
a
spend
lot.
all that money. I
Yeah.
mean, geez.
Yep.
Real quick before we move on to the next thing, is there any quick pushback on any of these picks? Because I could, I'll just get mine out of the way quick, right? Lamar, my issue with him is I don't know what he looks like, not in that system that they custom built for him in Baltimore. So that would scare me a little bit.
That and the lack of receivers if he does stay in Baltimore.
Well, and that is if he stays in Baltimore, what's in it for him to put his body at threat with no long-term
The
contract?
paycheck the next year.
He's a running quarterback, and he's proven he'll sit.
Yeah. But that's it. I mean, Hurts. I mean, I would probably pick Hurts to be in the top 5 easy. Watson,
That hurts you, doesn't it?
Huh?
That hurts you a little bit, doesn't it?
No, because I like Hurts as a player. Deshaun Watson, I don't like him very much, but Deshaun Watson, the only thing I worry about with him is just, I got to see it again.
Yep.
It's been a while.
Yep.
Fields, I think, could actually be the number 1 quarterback. A good pick.
Any
Yeah.
pushback on the
I
other
mean,
guys?
they're going to get Phil's help. They have to.
I think we said it all.
I ain't pushing
Okay.
back on
Hey,
shit
so-
with Fields. Are you kidding?
Why not? You should. You're the guy with the inside info.
That's my man, though. My man's got to take off. I need him.
That's his man.
Yeah, it's his boy.
Finds the right hole, strong.
And I let him hit it hard.
He can't fit in.
I think Mark
Can't fit it
would entertain
Wow.
Phil's hitting the right hole with him. I do.
He's not a bad looking guy.
No, he's a good-looking guy.
He looks a little bit like Shark Tale, the fish in Shark Tale.
Awesome. Yeah.
Oscar, yeah.
That's funny.
Samara and I were looking. Sometimes we'll watch TikToks together, and we were watching Samara's TikTok feed, and then there was 2 Joe Burrow thirst trap edits back to back. I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
I think you know, man. I think
know
you
Out of
know.
nowhere.
Yeah, I think you know.
Let's get into our pressing issue for today, boys.
Pressing issues. What's the issue? If there's issues, we're gonna press them.
Yeah, come on down. Hey, baby, ready.
All right, pressing
It's
issue.
been way too long,
I've missed
man.
that. I've missed that.
All right, so as we mentioned at the top of the show, we're looking at those 8 teams that were in the divisional round because we talked about this last week. and we're gonna pick the quarterback we would like to move forward with the most, excluding Patrick Mahomes, right?
Yeah. So when I originally thought about this, it's like if you were to be running a franchise and you're taking these quarterbacks for what they are and what they're going to be for the next 10 years or something like that, who would you pick to start your franchise not named Mahomes? Because the general consensus is probably it's Mahomes and then the rest of the quarterbacks.
Is there anybody on this panel that would start and Mahomes wouldn't be their number one?
I would pick if Mahomes is on the table. I'm picking Mahomes.
I mean, I want to get cute, but yeah, it would be Mahomes
for just security and Mahomes is the guy. So besides Mahomes, who would you take as your franchise quarterback for the next some years?
Who wants to go first?
I mean,
anybody?
I can start because it's the quarterback that's on my girlfriend's TikTok all the time. Joe Burrow.
He would have been my first pick.
Have you asked her what she finds attractive about Joe Burrow?
His body.
Well, for the same reasons why I'd probably pick him as my quarterback to run my franchise. One, he's a big podium guy.
Okay.
Great podium guy. So he's
good podium guy.
You know, he says the right
got
things.
A good podium.
He's the face of he's the face of your franchise. So he's got to look good. He's got to sound good. But really, I think this might be somewhat of a hot take. I thought Josh Allen would be on the table. I thought people would consider him. And this is before the debacle that happened in the divisional round. But Joe Burrow plays a game like Peyton Manning kind of does. Like he's cool under pressure. He sees the field. He executes a game plan really well. And why I would take Joe Burrow is because of the way he plays. Joe Burrow has said this himself. He's not maybe the best at one thing, but he's top 2 or top 3 in everything. For him to play the way he does, for him to not be a mobile quarterback, if I'm a GM, I'm taking Joe Burrow because he's going to play sustainably. For his limitations, for not being the best runner or the best passer, coaches coach a certain way, players play a certain way. I make the analogy of like when Nick Foles won a Super Bowl, the players around him knew they had to play really well. The coaches knew they had to coach really well because of the limitations of a quarterback. When you have a Josh Allen, when you have a Mahomes, you have here's the play, and then if it doesn't work, we know you can save us with your legs or with the way that you throw the ball. I think it's a sound game plan for the next 10 years with Joe Burrow.
So quickly, why do you take him over Allen, who would be like presumably a lot of people would go with Allen?
I think I don't know if Sean McDermott needs to be fired, but the way that they've coached has kept them in a job because Josh Allen can be relied on at the end of the game. And also the way that Josh Allen runs, he likes the contact. He knows he can put the game on his back, and he plays a little bit of a backyard football, which I mean, Josh Allen is like an injury away from being out of a Super Bowl window for at least 2 years.
All right, Rocky, what do you got?
So I'm going to go with Trevor Lawrence.
Sunshine.
Yeah, Sunshine.
The Prince.
And, I'm going to go. There's a lot of reasons. I loved his second half of the season.
Jamarcus Russell.
You loved the second half of his
season.
Wild card game.
Trevor DeGena Lawrence.
He had 72% completion, 17 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. 110% quarterback rating. Not only that, I like the team that he's in. I love his receiving core, and we can't forget that they're going to add Calvin Ridley next year, who the last time he was on the field for a 2-year period had 2,300 yards, 16 touchdowns, 160 receptions. He's only 28. He's not an old receiver. And I think putting him in that offense, he's going to be amazing.
He's going to be a steal in fantasy
He's
drafts.
going to be, and oh, by the way, they got him for a 6th-round pick.
You really think so? I don't think so.
Yes,
Yeah,
I do.
think so.
I think having Christian Kirk, having Etienne out of the backfield, I just feel like he's protected. I love the fact that Lawrence is 6'6" and 220.
I bet you do.
He's a prototypical
long hair.
When you build a quarterback,
how you build him?
He has the attributes. No one's going to argue that.
He's got the arm. He's unflappable.
No,
what does that mean?
He misses.
He's cool. He's Joe Burrow.
He misses
when he throws
open
4
throws.
Yeah, he does. You're right. He's got to learn.
What's his first year with Doug
He's
Peterson?
like Tim Tebow.
Okay, that's it. First year with Doug Peterson. So, and really his first real year in the NFL because he had that Urban Meyer debacle.
It's the biggest historical jump for a quarterback.
Right, here's my pushback.
So he's going to be, well, let me just finish my last point. It's really his second full year in the NFL with an adequate coach. He's
better than adequate, but okay.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'll give you that. I think he's going to improve. He's going to be in a better offense. They've got 8 picks. 8 picks, including 2 high picks. I think they're going to add some to their offensive line, add some to their defense, which is already pretty stellar. I mean, there's just so much to like. And what I love about it is Name another guy that throws 4 picks, doesn't get flat. I mean, he just doesn't get worried. He goes out there and he's very cool under pressure. He shows a lot of the attributes you want at a quarterback. I just think he's a gamer. And he has no injury history at all. I love that.
No,
Mark, you're going to rebut this now? You can. I'm saying you can. But do it quickly, please.
So
I'm going to blow the horn when it's time to
calm
stop.
the fuck down. All right. Here's what I'm going to tell you.
Too late, Luke.
So what you just named in his season is exactly what you get with Trevor Lawrence. He's up and down. He's streaky. So I've read the same reports, right?
But he wasn't up and down the last 9 games.
He was
only up.
So you're not listening. So the last 9 games, they said historically was a very good ending to the season. But if you also in that same article read the first 9 games, the first 9 games was statistically the worst a quarterback has ever done in the NFL in the history of the NFL. So that's what you're getting with Trevor Lawrence. You're not getting someone who's steady and unflappable. You're getting a guy that's going to throw 4 interceptions in the first half of a playoff game and get lucky to still be in the game later on when, the Chargers obviously can't do anything with it. The defense saved them. Here's what I'm going to say. You go out, you have $260 million as a franchise. If you don't make the playoffs, that's a goddamn crime. They barely made the playoffs with the $260 million with him at the helm. The defense is the reason why they even made it into the playoffs. That strip sack fumble that got them into the playoffs, or else they would have been on the outside of the playoffs. And then playing lights out defense in the second half of that Chargers game. It's not Trevor Lawrence who's carrying that team for me. It's the rest of that team.
I don't think the second half of that game was just the defense. It was sure helped by the defense, but it wasn't just the defense. He was also throwing the ball.
But San Diego puts 3 points on the board at any given time in that second
sucks.
half.
I'm not arguing that at all.
Yeah, they suck. They don't even have a team anymore.
San Diego, well, okay. Yeah.
Next quarterback.
All right, I'll go, and I want the pushback on this. I'm gonna get the pushback, but
okay.
I will admit Burrow was my first guy, and the bias is coming out a little bit here with Josh Allen because he's the one guy on this list that we have that I probably should take over Jones. But T-Law, who's the other guy? I always forget his name, Air Bear. That playoff game is the reason I ruled both of those guys out for me. Because Trevor Lawrence, 4 picks in the first half, I'm sorry. If you're not playing against a flaky, overrated Herbert in the second half, then you don't win that game.
Yeah.
Okay? So they're out of the equation for me right away. With Jones, what I love about Jones is as far as a runner in the NFL, besides Hurts and Fields, I feel like he's the third best runner. I take Jackson out of that equation because of the injury, and I think he's going to tone down his running. But the guy ran for 700 yards, 15 touchdowns, doesn't look great. 3,200 yards passing, doesn't look great. First half of the season, you're right. They ran this offense through Saquon Barkley. Of the 8 teams...
This sounds like an equation.
The 8 teams in the divisional round, all the guys we're talking about.
Yes.
Give me one of the wide receivers that start for those teams
that
you wouldn't take over one of the 3 starting for Daniel Jones.
Yeah. So you're saying that they didn't play with anyone?
Oh, his number 1 wide receiver at the end of the year was
Isaiah
a guy
Hodgins.
we signed off waivers in like week 8.
Yeah.
Okay. 3,200 yards. I think Jalen Hurts had 37, somewhere in that area.
That sounds right.
He had 60 more rushing yards than him.
And he was playing with AJ and Devontae.
I think if they upgrade the talent around him, you seen what he did to a bad Vikings offense in the playoffs. In his first playoff game, right? He dominated that game. Saquon had 9 carries in that game. He threw for 300 yards, rushed for close to 80 yards, threw 2 touchdowns. He dominated in his first playoff game. You get him a legitimate wide receiver. You go get T. Higgins. Go get him somebody like that. I see he jumps up to 4,000 yards passing next year. And he equals the rushing from this year.
I don't disagree. I think Daboll, honestly...
I don't know why you're shaking your head. Give me the rebuttal.
I disagree because, one, we're picking a franchise quarterback. I mean, Daniel Jones hasn't had, like, that game yet.
He did.
Against who? The Vikings?
So who are the guys you're taking over him?
The Vikings had a terrible
Who are the guys
defense.
you're taking over him?
I'm taking any quarterback in the divisional besides Dak Prescott. That's literally what I'm... Because Dak hasn't done the same thing either.
What's the game that Herbert had?
Herbert he's had a few comeback games against the Chiefs.
He just choked away 28-point lead in the playoffs.
I don't know how much of that was him and how much of that was coaching.
Oh, well, okay.
Justin Herbert has more talent, but I don't want to talk about Justin Herbert here. I want to talk about how Daniel Jones... Part of it, and I don't know if this is biased or not, but like Dak has the Cowboys who have failed him, and Daniel Jones has the Giants, who might fail him. I just don't think those franchises can support a quarterback that is mediocre. I mean, Daniel Jones, put the game on his back and you see what happens. Daniel Jones has carved up terrible defenses. For the Vikings to lose like they did the Giants, for the Giants to lose like they did to the Eagles, goes to show the pecking order, I think. I don't know if I'd put a team around Daniel Jones. It just sounds like a lot of energy for maybe a playoff win or two.
Yeah.
You know who can drive an offense? Brock Purdy.
CJ.
That's what I'm
Thank you.
taking.
Thank you.
That's what I'm taking. I had to end that shit.
Yeah,
That was
thank
getting
you.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
When Mark
So-
segues us, we know it's
We're in trouble.
That's crazy.
I'm going with Brock Purdy. You want to talk about somebody who's unflappable? Here's Mr.
what
Gurr.
does that mean?
You should look it up.
Unflappable, man. Look it up.
It is a word.
Yes,
It's kind
definitely
of
a
like
word.
embarrassing that you don't know it is
Yeah.
a word. I had.
So I'm coining this man Mr. Gurr relevant because this dude is fucking. He is a lion, man.
Is
This
that a roar?
Yeah, there was. Tony
the Tiger.
Gurr relevant. Here's a guy that proves that you don't need to go out and draft Trevor Lawrence and then spend $267 million to surround him with a bunch of talent to barely make the playoffs. You're talking about a guy that was the very last pick in the draft, who was behind Trey Lance, who was supposed to be the next coming of Jesus in San Francisco. You have him behind pretty Jimmy G. And here he is. He comes in. What does he do? Oh, he just goes 6-0 as the last
Rocky,
pick
not
in the
now.
draft rookie. 6-0 in the regular season.
Yeah.
Drives San Fran into the second seed, and then he's been nothing but lights out in the playoffs. You're talking about a guy that's got a 63% completion percentage for 546 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He does exactly what you want him to do as a rookie, and that's not make mistakes. The guy's got a head for the game. He comes from,
Interesting choice of words.
head for the game. Yeah. He performed very well in college. Luckily he was taken with the very last pick in the draft, but it's paying dividends. Yeah. So I think San Fran, with this showing, can safely move on from the Trey Lance experience. Right?
Yeah.
Trey Lance has never proved anything. Now he's injury riddled. Let him go. Jimmy G, you can safely now try to get some return for Jimmy G. I think Brock Purdy is your guy going forward, and to do what he's done as a 7th round last pick rookie and what he's doing now and possibly leading his team to the Super Bowl over that fucking disgusting team from Philadelphia. I don't see how you wouldn't want this guy.
He may
to lead your
outclass
franchise.
Tom Brady too.
Yeah.
Right?
I guess technically. I don't think it's a terrible pick because I'm a big believer in the NFL of like, what did you do for me recently? Like the fact that like a Zach Wilson was a 2nd overall pick and you need to like try and have him meet what you thought the expectations were against like having a Brock Purdy who's done nothing but win in a good fashion. Mm-hmm. I agree with it, but like to put him as your franchise quarterback.
And you can't even call him a game manager either, because if we're putting him, if we're comparing him to Trevor Lawrence, Trevor Lawrence had 52 completions during the postseason for 505 yards. Purdy had 15 less completions for 41 more yards.
I just think if you put me on the 49ers offense, like I'll be a game manager.
See, that's
for
shit.
him.
That's bullshit.
I mean, Trey Lance, though, was
CJ Beathard looked really fucking good on the Niners like 4 years ago.
No.
The only person is Trey Lance, and that means there's a Trey Lance problem.
there is something to what you're saying as far as Shanahan is an amazing offensive offensive mind. That
Mullins
has led to
looked
being
great
a
on
great
the
you
49ers.
put anybody in Philly's offense, he's going to fucking thrive. How
One
can
at
you
a-
not? But
one at
A.J.
a
Brown,
time, guys.
Dallas
Hey,
Gardner
Goddard,
Minshew lost
Devontae
2
Smith.
games. Gardner Minshew lost 2 games.
Don't you dare talk about Gardner Minshew
One
like
at
that.
a time.
How dare you?
One at a time, guys. Come on.
How dare you?
The system that the 49ers have, first of all, I'd like to say I agree with you. I'm just saying what his numbers are and his success plays a big part into the 49ers offense as well. Is Brock Purdy a system quarterback? You can't say that yet.
Yeah, we don't know yet about Brock Purdy, although I think I tend to agree with what you're saying. I think you're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I think they're on to something
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
But that argument, it doesn't even make sense either, because then you're saying that Gardner Minshew lost 2 games for that team, yet they were the better seed going into the playoffs. So then if you don't have Brock Purdy there, you're assuming that no one's just going to win those games for them.
Well, I'm just saying,
unless you're admitting now that San Fran is the better team.
I'm just saying in comparison to the 2 systems that the Eagles and the Niners have, one is way more plug and play. One's
Put the
run
ball in the air
first.
59 times, though, and he's got 37 completions. You could say that.
How many of those are screens?
You could say that.
Right.
You could say that, right? if his total yardage was like 230. I would agree with you. 546. That's the reason why I threw that number out there.
546. How many games is that?
546 in 2 games.
Oh, okay.
Versus, and the reason why I was hoping somebody would highlight that because Trevor Lawrence, who threw the ball 86 times for only 505 yards. But yet we're going to say that Purdy's a game manager and throws screens. Trevor Lawrence throws the same amount of screens to Trevor Etienne.
I mean, I don't know the numbers there. They have a lot of like Debo Samuel, Ray McCloud, where you can toss the ball real quick in the middle of the field and see what happens.
All right, so I mean, there's pushback on Purdy for sure, but I think he's.
I mean, we just
been
don't know
unflappable.
yet, right? I mean, we just don't know yet because there's not a big body of work. But I sure want him to be good. Like I want to believe in the guy.
Of the quarterbacks on the Niners, Purdy's your guy 100%, but is he the guy you start a franchise
Hey,
with?
so real quick though, the guys we left out, right? What is it about those guys that made us leave them out? It was Herbert, right?
Josh Allen, I've made
Josh
the case
Allen.
for. I mean, I think you guys know I wouldn't pick Josh Allen. So.
I just think he.
Who's the other guy?
In addition to his injuries, I also
Dak.
think that he's kind of a baby. Like he shows his emotions a lot. There's like a lot of examples of him like slamming his helmet.
Oh, no one picked Jalen Hurts. What the fuck? I would have picked Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I thought you were going to pick him. That's why I didn't pick him.
I think because of I like Jalen Hurts obviously a lot, but if I'm a GM, I'm thinking Joe Burrow can get me like the next 10 years of like AFC divisional and potentially Super Bowls. Jalen Hurts, because of how he plays the game, maybe it's like 5 to 6 instead.
I can tell you why you don't take Jalen Hurts because Jalen Hurts without Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown like last year is someone that you're talking about going into the season, potentially losing his job during the season.
Well, Jalen Hurts got them to the playoffs without those people anyways. But you got to think also too.
They were still talking about him not being the guy this year though too.
Okay. I mean, I think we're saying that I didn't pick Jalen Hurts for a few reasons.
Yeah.
So I like Jalen Hurts a lot.
You need a team.
I'm not fully bought into him yet. I'm not because like I still see throws, especially when he's throwing into hard man coverage, that he struggles with.
You're just a treasure
And that's
trove over
unflappable.
And yet you took,
Unflappable is the word. I sent you the dictionary.
No, I said it was a
Unflappable.
Yeah.
You didn't
I
get
also
it.
see the dictionary.
All right, so
definition.
Allen, same thing. Daboll leaves, he becomes a turnover machine again.
Big time.
And he does show a little bit of, I don't know, unsteadiness.
Yeah, I don't.
Herbert, big games. They go to last year, so they didn't have to get in that game to get into the playoffs. They go to the Texans, one of the worst teams in the league, and he loses a gimme game that would have clinched their spot in the playoffs.
Yep.
He goes to the playoffs this year, and he loses to Trevor with a 28-point lead. I can't get over that.
His stats were not bad in that game.
I don't care about his stats.
His coach cannot manage a game.
but then that's as a quarterback, as a leader, you take that over. You take that over.
Listen, I get what you're saying.
You can't call the plays.
All right, can I make? Can I finish? Hey,
Omaha and shit?
can I make my point? Shit.
Yeah.
This guy, regardless of the coaching, you can't blame it all on him. I'm not saying you can. You can't, but it goes in his ledger, just like all these other guys we're talking about. It goes in his ledger. I haven't seen him win a big game yet. I have not seen it. So that's my thing with him. And then Hurts, the only reservation I have about Hurts is the man coverage throwing. I still haven't seen that part. The timing stuff, the zone coverage, he could throw the deep ball this year. I've seen him. He looks good. That's the one thing I don't know yet. So when he gets to like 30 and he can't run as much, is he going to be a sophisticated passer from the pocket?
You become more of a Russell Wilson.
Well,
that's the only reason I like Jones better because I think he could do that. But he's
That's
having
my
a
fear.
better career so
I'd take
far.
Hurts over Allen though. I'd say that.
And with Josh Allen, I just think if he would have or could have done it, he would have already done it. They were set up the past 2 seasons to be
Past
the team.
3, really.
I think you said it last week though. After Diggs, who scares you on the Buffalo Bills?
Nobody scares you. Gabe Davis.
That's the only thing.
good.
Gabe Davis is a success story, and he's
Charge on, go
interesting.
Knights.
But after Diggs, is there really?
No.
Nobody. And so maybe like on Philly, man, Dallas Goddard looked amazing the other night. Brown and Smith both really impressed me. Buffalo, I'm looking at that team and I'm like, they're not really that good.
I think next year, you're going to see a change a little bit in the way that they're approaching because they put it solely on Josh to go out and win games. I think they let Devin Singletary walk, and I think James Cook is very talented. I think they may deploy him a lot like the Chargers deploy Eckler.
Yeah,
and I think that's going to really
maybe like a CMC kind of.
I think that's really going to open that offense up.
All right. Well, I think we belabored that enough. So let's get into our pod picks, guys.
Very boring, I think, here, right?
Yeah, Mark. Well, Mark, you got our standings
For what? What are we doing?
For the pod picks.
Oh, are we still doing that?
Yeah, we're still doing
You're
that.
not apparently with how you're picking games.
Let's see. Zach has 68. Rocco has 64. Phil has 53. And
I really fell off.
So we could tie potentially if I miss my
The
picks
last
and
like
you make
4
yours.
weeks, you guys have just pulled away. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on. It was like
Oh, no,
4
we'll
weeks
see.
ago, we were like 3 points apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
crazy.
we all know what's gone on.
What?
Superior picking.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
of
that
course.
has happened.
And I throw my
I will give you respect.
picks in the chat without any words.
That's
no
right.
complaints.
Look at that. That's a shot. So who's in last?
it was a shot at you. And you're
What,
winking
how
at
many?
him.
How many points do you
Mark,
have?
you got to put your picks in the chat, man.
Mark,
you
how
got to
many
be a man.
points?
many points
I
you
already
got,
said 68, 64, and 53.
Yeah.
And what
so
about
Mark,
you?
what do you have you broken 30 yet?
I have taken myself out of this.
No, Mark. What are you at?
41.
Okay, I just want to make sure I had a
Oh,
safe
you broke
distance.
40. That's good.
Yeah. I think you're shooting like 38% right now.
That's fine. I also finished 11th in a fucking 20,000 man league, so that's good. There it is. All right, so y'all can fucking suck it.
All right, so what are our picks for this week? Do we all have the same picks?
I don't know, Mark. Did
we-
you?
Right, so
I
let's
know
hear
the
your
three
pick.
of us
Let-
did.
I don't
Let's
even
get
know.
your
I don't
pick.
even know what the spreads are.
We'll just go
I
through
don't-
them.
You know what? I don't know what the spreads are, and I'll just tell you what my picks are before you guys pick. That way he doesn't.
Okay, go
fucking,
ahead.
Go ahead, Mark.
Let's see. It's who Philly, San Fran. I'm going to take San Fran. Don't really give a shit what the spread is because I think
Okay.
San Fran's going to blow them the fuck out.
Okay.
Okay.
And what's the other one? Cincinnati and Kansas City, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think Big Daddy Mahomes gets his revenge. I'm taking
Okay.
Kansas City. San Fran, Kansas City.
Okay.
So I just want to ask. I mean, I already have my picks, but we're not doing like one dog, one
Well, we're
line?
supposed
No.
to, right? Yeah.
Can we,
Oh,
can we
were
use
we
the
supposed
voice?
to
Yeah.
do that?
Well, I think we all did, right?
Mark,
wanna use
Well,
the
I just
voice?
did too.
I just want to use the
San
walk,
Fran's the dog,
walk-
right?
Mortal walk voice.
Are we? Okay.
You have two dogs.
Yeah, you have to.
Dogs. There we go. I draft like a fucking man. My mortal lock of the week is Cincinnati -1.5. Man, this shit was free money when they were the dog, but I'll still take him as a favorite. Joe Cool's gonna go into Arrowhead and fucking put his nuts on the table and take himself back to the Super Bowl, bitch. Alright, false shit.
I just wanted to use that voice real bad.
Yeah, I don't want to use that voice.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think we
good.
all have the same.
Yeah. What, are you the same pick?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cincy.
So you know that Mahomes can't walk, right?
It don't matter.
I think it matters a little bit.
Yeah, it don't matter. You ever see that man throw a ball with his offhand?
This
You ever
is
see him
I've
throw
seen
the
him
ball
throw with
underhand?
it. Yeah, I've seen him throw.
You ever
with
see the
it.
way Chris Collinsworth fucking gives him head during and after the game? It don't matter. As long
I'm
as
gonna
it's Chris
say this.
Collinsworth announcing. If he
I
is,
do
they
not
win.
want Cincinnati to win. I hope I'm wrong.
Why?
big Browns fan.
Why not?
Yeah, you don't root for the Bengals if you're a Browns fan. It doesn't
Oh,
happen.
okay, okay.
Yeah, I mean it's just an
What
interstate
a
rivalry.
time to be
What
a
do you
Browns
root
fan. The
for then
Bengals
as
are
a
going to be a
Browns
good
fan?
team for the
Yeah,
next
not
10
much.
years, man.
Next year,
Yeah, that's
you
true.
root for next year.
That's right.
That sucks for you, man.
Yeah.
Bengals
Yeah.
are
Who
gonna
do we think is better next year?
There's no expiration date on that shirt, huh?
Oh.
No, I got it this year for my birthday. But
All right,
yeah.
so we're taking Cincinnati. You're taking the Chiefs. So what about for the NFC? What are we doing?
Oh yeah, I'm taking the 49ers.
I'm also taking 49ers plus 2.5.
I
It is-
am,
it
I
is-
am also taking the
It's
49ers.
both brain and hope as well. I just want them to beat the Eagles.
I'm trying to big brain myself here.
Yeah. Well, I took the 49ers because I thought we were taking a dog and
Yeah, me too.
yeah. But
Didn't we talk about this before the show?
Well,
Well,
we
we
did. We're
did.
not, but like,
I thought we were being forced to take a dog and a lock and a dog.
Free country.
I'd like to say
pick who you want then.
I'd pick that. I'd pick this. What I picked either
Well,
way.
He picks because he doesn't want to, the voodoo. He doesn't want to do the pick against his team or
Talk
pick
about-
for
talk
his
about
team.
you.
Yeah.
Pick
I
what you want.
I believe the way the Eagles played last week. If I was just picking without any kind of spread, I think the Eagles.
We'll take the Eagles, and
Win
that
that
might
game.
that might be what puts you in first place here.
Well, no, because we only. Oh, yeah. I mean,
All right, so
All right,
take
last
Philly.
chance. Take
yeah,
the Eagles.
I'll,
Last chance.
you can change it. I'll take the Eagles.
birds.
I'm taking the birds.
All right, so what does everybody have?
We all have Cincy besides you.
And I have the Eagles.
And
Oh, wow.
we all have Niners besides Rocky.
Looks like I'm coming back to win this shit.
Looks like it.
This round counts for 40 points.
Hey guys, so that was the show. Please follow us on TikTok, YouTube, Guys on Network. You could also find us on Twitter, Instagram, I believe Facebook, all that good stuff. But please like and subscribe.
Chalkboard.
Hit that notification bell. Also on Spotify, Apple iTunes, whatever that is, right?
Give us a rating.
Yeah,
Ton of
please.
information coming your way.
Yeah, we're gonna have a bunch of stuff coming on our other show, Guys on Draft. Check that out. Let us know what you think.
We're
We love it.
unflappable.
We're unflappable.